I'm going to do a couple things before we.
So, guys, welcome to our Tuesday masterclass. We've got a good one for you guys today. I hope you guys are ready and willing to pay attention, take some notes. Jason took 135 transactions his first year in real estate. I think I got that number right. But Michelle, let's just get going. We got some shout outs that we want to give before we get into it. Michelle, this is you.
Yeah,
Let's go.
yes. So special treat for you guys. I'm super excited to have fun for this next hour together. So Jason Simard, one of my closest friends right now. We've been having a lot of fun together, tons of collaboration within the business. So just to do some highlights on Jason, because he's actually going to share, he's got a really powerful and interesting story for you guys that I know he's going to kind of walk you through. And Jason, you can correct any of this if I get it wrong, but I know you've been in the business just over 8 years now. And guys, you saw my headliner on that because there's very few people probably that exist in our industry that are doing that kind of volume their first year in the business. So I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions and are going to ask. 135 deals his first year in the business. We're going to learn about kind of what he was doing to create that, what he's doing today. Fast forward, and Jason, I know you're going to share it when you share your story. I think it was about 3 or so years that you actually worked yourself out of production and built your team. If I have that correct, I think that's also an interesting theme for people to be able to pick your brain on and learn from. Now running one of the top 10 teams in the BC Canada market, guys, as well as an over 500 agent organization that he operates. He runs an incredible coaching system, works with agents. So we have a ton of fun together. I'm excited for you guys to be able to learn from him, take some valuable things away, and we'll make sure we have room for Q&A. We'll probably be pretty interactive as we go here, right, Jason?
Absolutely.
But before we kick off
Give
with
my people their shout outs.
I want to highlight, look at Cooley shouting at me. This is the way it works the best. So a couple of things real quick here, guys, just to rally when we look at what we've been doing, what we've been talking about with the market. Huge shout out real quick. I don't know if I saw Amber on here yet. Amber McDonald has 5 new listings going on the market this week, right? We just morning, powerful. And Sienna, I saw you somewhere, Sienna. I know you're here. Those of you guys that don't know Sienna, 4 appointments set yesterday. And Sienna, you're on pace to have your biggest.
One expired, one circle prospecting like a gangster, just switching it up. I love it.
Yes.
Let's go.
And all of you guys know Matt Clark, right? Doing his business between Texas and Washington, literally flying back and forth every month. Not only does he have 21 under contract right this moment, he has 11 listing contracts signed coming on the market. And that's being in a market part-time. So I love that.
You got to give a shout out to Rebecca Guggens with the red hair. 13 signed listing agreements right now, getting ready to hit the market as well, like a gangster. Let's go.
So that's what it looks like, guys, putting in the intention. So super excited. You guys are kicking ass. Jason, I want to jump over to you. So let's just kind of, I think just, maybe add to that intro. Let's share your story and kind of where you started and where you are today is so powerful. So maybe just kind of kick that off and share that with the group.
All right. Well, okay. Let's start this journey. So for me, I came into the real estate industry at a financial rock bottom. 22 years old, I was a bank manager. I did that for 7 years, was in the financial industry since the age of 19. So I did that for 11 total years. And then I found myself wanting to have more. I went through a divorce, guys, which is not the funnest thing to go through. I have an amazing relationship with my ex-wife. We get along really well, but there was a 2 to 3 year window there where I needed to kind of rediscover myself and figure out what I was passionate about. Unfortunately, hitting financial rock bottom at that time, I was minus $80,000 in the hole in my divorce. That's what I was staring down the barrel of real estate. So I came in with a lot of fire under my butt, a lot of motivation, and I had no plan B. I had to make something happen. I couldn't continue just making the 100,000 a year I was as a bank manager, never get myself out of the hole that I was in. Can anybody relate to ever being in financial rock bottom? I'm actually curious. Can you guys post in the chat, put a hand up? Like, have you been there? Maybe you're there right now and you're feeling financial rock bottom at the moment. I can tell you something. There's one of two things that I've learned from having gone through financial rock bottom. Okay. You can become somebody that becomes a victim to it. And this trauma is so big that it literally defines you and it breaks you, or you can use it and actually channel that to have post-traumatic growth. And that's what happened to me. And I didn't even understand what this meant until a year ago when I listened to a speaker actually break this down. I was like, oh my God, I can relate to this. So I'm minus 80,000 in the hole. I'm starting real estate. I borrowed $53,000 from my brother-in-law over the first 90 days. And I literally created a one-page business plan on what I was going to do in real estate. And I had no plan B, but I borrowed $53,000. He believed so much in me because I went all in. I decided to go and chase something. I wanted to create unlimited income for myself because I knew that at the pace that I was going, I could never get out of the hole that I was in. I was able to pay him back in full, guys, in 90 days from rock
Nice.
minus $80,000 in the hole. I had 27 deals closed and pending in my first 90 days. Now, I didn't know that I was going to do 135 home sales in my first year. To be honest with you, my plan was to build around 45 home sales in my first year, which a lot of people looked at me like I was crazy and they thought I was nuts. But that was like the plan that I'd created on this one page. It was literally felt like it was on a napkin, but that was what it was. Fast forward a year later, I was able to set up 135 home sales. That $53,000 loan that I borrowed was, I mean, I'll never, ever be able to thank my brother-in-law enough that he saw the potential in me and invested in me, and I was able to do that. Paying him back in full, though, in 90 days felt really good, and I paid him a huge interest payment that year. So my whole story started from rock bottom. So if you're there right now, just know that it's a moment in time, and you don't have to stay there forever, guys. Like, you can get yourself out of it. It's going to require massive action, though, and I can tell you that's the one thing that I did really, really well. And I'm sure, Michelle, you're going to touch on that. How the heck does one do 135 home sales? It's pretty bananas. Like, I'm not going to tell you that I had a lot of balance in the first few years in real estate, because I didn't. I was on 24/7, it felt like, right? Like, for anybody relate to that, where you literally feel like you're not present for anything going on in your life. I have kids. Honestly, I feel bad, but like that 3.5 years in the beginning when I was still in production, my kids didn't see me that much. If I was present, I wasn't present. I was constantly like working, but I had such a fire under my ass, guys, as I did not ever want to feel financially vulnerable the way that I did. I've always prided myself on being a provider and a protector. If anybody can relate to that, like, that's so important to me. I'm old school. Michelle, you know this about me, right? Like, I love to be the protector and provider. I like to take care of people. And for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't in a position to do that, which really for me was like, okay, I need to change something right now. So I made a decision. And I'll tell you, this is like the framework that I went through to be able to have transformation. And anybody listening to this right now, if you're in that rock bottom, you have to understand there's a fundamental law of the universe that I'm going to share with you that I learned. And I've been through it, and it's changed my life. The first thing, guys, is you have to believe that success is possible first. If you look at any great invention, any great company, it all starts with an idea. You can't actually have anything happen in your life if you don't believe it first. So the first thing is, I believed I was a top producer the minute that I made the decision I was going to be an agent. I was in that mindset immediately. I behaved that way. I acted that way. I spoke that way. Agents that dealt with me wouldn't have known any different. They would have thought I'd been doing this for a long time, because that was my belief in my mind. I had to program my mind. The second fundamental law of the universe is my actions had to be congruent as somebody who is a top producer. The one thing that I could control is I would outwork everybody, and it wouldn't even be close. The second person behind me would be so far down in action that, like, there's no way they could ever close the gap. I was committed that I would be the hardest worker. I would be the one person that would outwork everybody. And I knew that if I did that long enough, and I didn't know how long it would take, but I knew if I did that long enough with that belief, that mindset, and the action, that I would absolutely become a top producer. And I got to tell you guys, it happened 1.5 years into my career in real estate. I became a top producer in my market, and I had achieved that goal. Now, some of you are like, wow, that's amazing. I did over $1 million GCI my official second year in real estate, and I've done that every year since. And you would think, wow, you feel like you made it. I'll tell you guys, that's probably some of the loneliest times that I've had in my life too. Like, as much as it was amazing to go and build this great business and have this financial success and get back to being the rock star provider that I knew that I was, I actually, I lost some of myself. I gained 47 pounds in my first 4 or 5 years in real estate. I didn't have a close relationship with my kids because I was so busy working on this goal and like trying to be this person. And if I could go back in time, I would tell myself, Jason, you need to put some counterbalance in, get some standards. Your family is a priority. So number one, I would have spent more time with my family. If I did 80 deals, 75 deals in year one instead of 135, I promise you, I would have been okay with that, knowing what I know today. The other thing that I would have done is I would have made fitness a standard in my life. So I had better energy levels. I could show up for people better. I could walk into a room with more confidence. And so going back and looking at that, those are things that I have a lot of regret. So if you're one of those people that's like, you know what, I'll get balance one day. I'm just going to work really hard. Yeah, that sounds great and all, but at the end of the day, you're going to burn out a lot. You're going to end up hitting your head against a wall, and then you're going to look back and have a regret, just like I do. I regret those moments in my life where I didn't make time for my family and I didn't make time for myself. And so I could go on and on about this, Michelle. I'm sorry I'm ranting, but like, it's really important, guys, that you understand that like my story isn't a healthy one in the beginning. It's not. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that's a healthy way. I don't coach anybody to do what I did in that first year because it was bananas. Back to you, Michelle.
And I love that because Jason, I think, you know my story and we talk a ton about that. I'm seeing a bunch of comments in here. People are saying same thing. Like, this is my story. I think that's relatable for so many of us, right? We have conversations like this with, our dear friend, Hannah Price, together all the time. So I'm just going to poke some questions to kind of feed through kind of this journey because I want to go through the whole process. And actually, maybe before we get into kind of what those 135 deals were made up of, because I think that's so interesting. And I talk about this all the time, which relates to what you just shared, Jason, right? It's not necessary when we can look at what people are doing at that level. There's so much value and like tangibles and nuggets that can take away, whether someone's trying to sell 50 homes, 20 homes, like it doesn't matter the number. Like, we can take what someone's doing at that level and go, these are things that work, right? This is the foundation. This is the mindset. This is where they took action. This is the systems that they ran. I definitely want to break that down with you, but so kind of share this journey. So you create this production wheel engine, right? That's running. What did that look like to when you transpire? Because I know you and I talked about you actually built and worked your way out of production pretty quickly. Kind of just share like the reasoning behind that and what that looked like.
Sure. So the mindset from day one is I built a team. Sims Real Estate Group was the team that I registered. I registered that in the very first month. I knew that leverage was going to be critical for me. I was blessed and lucky. There was an agent coming back, or not an agent, an assistant coming back from maternity leave at the Remax franchise that I worked at. She had 8 years experience. She knew how to like do contracts, which was something that I obviously didn't have any experience doing. And so I hired her my first month in the business. So part of that loan that I had was to like bring somebody on. I knew though that she could focus on the administrative tasks, those $25 an hour or less tasks at the time, that I could then put my energy on the things that matter: creating mind share and market share, branding, prospecting, guys, like massive levels of prospecting. And I'll share with you guys a framework that I actually still run to this day in my business and my real estate team 8.5 years later. But it's a 3-pillar system that I use for where I get my business from. I personally believe in having more than one place that I generate business from. The reason I believe that is because if you have only one source that you're getting business from, if that source was to dry up, for example, like Facebook's algorithm was amazing in the first 2-3 years in real estate, and it's still good, but it's definitely nowhere near as good and as effective as it was back then. If that was all I had focused on, I would be in a position where my business would have seen a big decline. I've been able to keep a consistent business because I have multiple pillars. So my 3 pillars, if you guys want to write this down, was Google AdWords, so internet leads. I was big on Google AdWords, Bing AdWords, Facebook leads. So a lot of those leads that you guys are like, oh, those are garbage, they're pure gold to me. I love those leads. I absolutely love those. They are people that are sometimes early in the process, but if you have the right processes and skills, they actually can start moving quite quickly, right? It takes a little bit longer to build trust and rapport, but the volume of leads that I can get predictably day over day over day was amazing to me. Like, and I knew this because between being a bank manager and getting into real estate, there was a 2-year window there where I did consulting in the real estate world, and I worked with agents. So I worked for a company called Real Estate Webmasters. So I got to learn what a lot of the top successful agents were doing with online lead generation. And I realized that most of them had no clue how to convert. So I became obsessed with learning how to do that before I even joined real estate. So just to give you guys a little bit of insight, I knew that internet leads made a ton of sense to me because I knew the predictable volumes that I could have. I know some of you are calling FSBOs and expires, and I'm not saying that that isn't a great way to generate business, but I had an abundance, hundreds of leads every single month that I could be working consistently. So that was the first place that I focused on was that. The second was my referral networks. I started building referral networks with lawyers. I started doing it with doctors, nurses. I started working with mortgage brokers. I started creating powerful networks. I was a nice person in high school. So a lot of people that I went to high school with, maybe I didn't know them that well, but I at least wasn't a bully. That came back and helped me. And I teach my kids this. I have kids that are in high school. I say your personal brand starts early. Who you are as a person and how you treat other people will come back to you. And if you're a bully or you're the person that picks on other people, they will remember that. Well, I'm very grateful that I wasn't that person, that I always was nice to everybody in high school. Even though I wasn't the coolest guy or anything, I was always nice to people. So this matters for the following pillar, which was like, I was going to use Facebook was what I use, guys. I know I'm like, Jason, you're a dinosaur. You're like Michelle, but it's true. I use Facebook. Sorry, Michelle. Well, I always tease you about that. I use Facebook as like one of my main pillars that I focused on. Knowing what I know today, I would have done more YouTube, and we definitely have added that. But Facebook was like the place I would literally put content every single week, helpful tip videos, information. If I got a listing, I made sure to make a big deal of it. I would be in the listing because I knew when you get a listing, there's two things you're marketing. You're marketing the home, but you're also marketing yourself. And I also know that my sellers are going to share their listing on their social media. And I want all their friends and family members to know exactly who marketed the home and who did it to the highest standards. One thing that I can tell you unequivocally that I would never compromise on is we were going to bring luxury marketing standards to every single listing that we had. And I would never compromise that ever. The only time that I was forced to compromise that, and it really taught me a valuable lesson and it reinforced why I never deviated from those standards, was COVID. I don't know if you guys remember, but during COVID, like people were locked down. And so like we couldn't access our videographers, we couldn't access some of our photographers. So we had to go with like some subpar marketing to try and get some listings that like we had to get out there. And I remember the first client we had to do that with, like literally lighting us up and telling us like how unacceptable this was. Like they had researched us and the reason they'd hired us is because of our marketing. And that was a big lesson for me. So for some of you that are penny pinchers that are like, well, I don't want to spend the money on marketing, you're going to affect your long-term success because every single listing is an opportunity for you to pick up new clients and set a standard of how you represent yourself. So I would never strive to be average or mediocre if I'm you. I would strive to always bring the highest standard. So I did this consistently every single week. I had a content time blocked. I paid for a videographer to come and create content and we would post it out there. And guys, I got laughed at. Have you ever been laughed at by people in your market because you're doing something different? I was the guy. I was like the OG in my market for video. When I did a full analysis of like what the best agents were doing in my very competitive market, they were all doing the old school mailers, right? They had the bus benches. They were basically doing everything but focusing on the internet. So I thought, okay, this is the one place that I can compete. I don't have 25 years of mailing the same neighborhoods and having the same bus benches. But what I do have is I have something that nobody else is doing. And so I focused on my lane, which was video content, internet lead marketing, because nobody was really doing anything with internet leads at the time. So I was like, perfect, I'm going to dominate that space. And those were the three pillars that I ran from. So I had really strong mind share because I was putting content out there and continually building my audience. I had tons of leads coming in consistently. So I had leads coming in that I was investing in. And then third was my referral networks kept building. And I made sure that every single time that I worked with a client that I was working like to like world-class standards. Like for me, leaving a really good impression with every single client, making them feel valued, making them feel good was really important because I cared about the brand that we were setting. And I immediately branded in my first month, Sims Real Estate Group was the brand. And I had so many people tell me, you should go off your name, you should go off your name. Didn't feel right to me because I knew my goal was to build a business that didn't revolve around me. I wanted to build a brand that could stand on its own, that had actual like equity in the marketplace. And the goal was to build the team and exit production within 5 years, just to give you guys the mindset that I have and why I worked so hard in that first 3.5 years. And I remember at the time telling my wife, like, look, my current wife, I was like, look, I know this is going to be hard for you. It's going to be an adjustment, but you just got to trust me. Like, I got to do this because I'm going to set us up for life. I want us to never have to worry about money ever again. And I never want to be in this vulnerable point. I want you to never have to work another day in your life. I want you to be able to be there to raise our kids and be involved. Like, I want to give you that gift. You just got to trust me. And it was hard, guys. I got to tell you, it really tested our relationship, but I kept my head down and I just kept grinding and working. And I was able to exit production in 3.5 years, so a year and a half earlier than the 5 years.
So I want to,
Jason, what an incredible story, first and foremost. And I love it because most top producers have kind of the same story, which is, you know, a lot of people hit a low point in their life, and sometimes that's what it takes in order for you to wake up and go, okay, shit, I'm at a crossroad right now to where I'm either going to melt down. I saw this Instagram reel yesterday where the guy was like saying, just try to be homeless if you haven't tried it before. And you have kind of that option, or you have the option to go all in on yourself and really go bananas in the business. And you chose that. And regardless of whether you had $50,000 to borrow or not, regardless of whether you were nice to people in high school or not, I think at that point in your life, even if you didn't have those resources, you would have found a way, right? And it may be a different way, but somebody like you who's made that decision will find a way. And so I love hearing stories like that. And for all of you guys who are listening, how many of you guys have heard that story before, where it just came down to a decision that somebody had to make, that yes, I'm going to be a top producer. Yes, I'm going to stop being the person that I am now, and I'm going to go all in on myself. Just unmute your microphones and tell me if you've heard that story before,
Yes.
if that sounds familiar to you guys at all.
That's my story.
Yes.
Very.
And so as you guys are listening to this, and when Jason says things like, I borrowed $50,000, for me, like if I hear that message, I'm like, fuck, man, I don't know anybody who's going to loan me 50 grand like that. There's no way that's happening for me. I wasn't exactly popular in high school. Like, those people aren't going to care about me, right? But it starts with, it doesn't matter whether you have things in your life right now. It all starts with making the choice first, right? Jason, I imagine that you do a lot of coaching with a lot of agents right now who have to start from ground zero, who don't have any resources to pull from. And so in your experience working with these kinds of people, like, what advice would you give these guys up front? Like, say you're in a situation right now, you're just getting in the business, you don't have 50K, you don't have people who are going to send you business. Where do you start now?
Oh, I love this question, by the way. So this is something that I did in my first 40 days as an agent. While my website was getting built and I was getting my lead generation ramped up, there was an agent in my marketplace who I had sold a website to when I was at Real Estate Webmasters, and she'd invested in marketing. She had 13 months of lead generation. She closed one sale from that. She had about 1,400 leads sitting in that database because she didn't work it. She invested in that and, you know, was like, okay, cool. But I don't think she understood, like, you actually have to work these. And so I said to her, and I should have made a different split, but I said, I'll give you 50% of any business that I generate from your online leads. Let me just go work them, and I'll give you 50% of anything that I generate. I got $76,000, Cooley, of GCI set up in that first 40 days from her dead leads that are sitting in her database that she had done nothing with. Because I had urgency, I had hustle, I had focus. I approached it and I looked at these with the mindset. These are gold. These are people that have needs. I just don't know what they are yet. So I just need to become really good at asking good questions that invite people to open up to me. And I will be able to create opportunities from that, because there's a reason they were looking at real estate in the first place. So my mindset was very different than other people, where she's like, oh, those are a waste of time. Those are a waste of money. And you'll hear that. And there's people on this call right now like, oh yeah, internet leads, they suck. Cool. That's awesome.
And with all those people, right, Jason, like, all leads suck, right? Like, you're looking for a hypothetical lead source that doesn't exist, where people are like, come list me, baby. And like, those don't exist, right? And so I love what you're saying right now, because one of the tall tale signs that you're not trying hard enough is if you're blaming lead sources, right? So somebody like Jason looks at all those leads that you've had over the course of your career, and all those leads that you say, man, those are terrible. And Jason's the type of guy that are like, bring them to me, give them to me, watch what I do with them, because I've got a hustle and a drive, and I know what to say, and I'm willing to put in the work to get the result. Is that fair to say, Jason?
100% fair, Chad.
I love what I wrote down word for word what you said earlier, Jason, which ties to all of this, which shows you this to me right now. So I was talking about, we all have the same opportunity. Like, and what you just shared, anyone could go do right now, is saying, I have nothing, I have nowhere to start. What do I do? This scenario of agents sitting out there with hundreds and thousands of leads in their CRMs and their databases and their pipelines exists all across the board that nobody's doing anything with. And this is what I circled though, that you became obsessed with learning how to convert.
Obsessed.
That was the separation factor because you actually studied from day one with the intention, I'm going to get really, really good at this and I'm going to figure it out over everybody else.
100%.
I love that so much. Being obsessed with learning how to convert, because that's the separation. It's all the same. You could hate calling expireds and FSBOs. You can hate working internet leads. You can say the leads are bad. That's everybody, unless you become obsessed with having the skill set and learning how to convert.
Right. So like, for example, you guys teach a lot of FSBOs expireds, right? So you can get endless opportunities there as well. And then you guys teach people on how to work those. And it's a mindset thing. You have some students that do phenomenally well and some that don't. The difference is the ones that do well are the ones that have the mindset and belief that these are good lead sources and they're willing to put the actions in behind it and work and develop the skills to do it. It's the same thing with internet leads. I didn't have to do FSBOs and expireds, although I've done a few in my day and I've created some opportunities. I've door knocked the odd person, but I didn't have to because I had an endless amount of leads that I could work. And I knew that like I could get way more contacts from my phone through texting, calling, right? Video messaging like BombBomb. I knew I could control my output every day. And if I had a frequent output and then was having quality conversations, it's impossible for a pipeline not to form. It literally is impossible. The reason most of you aren't having the success you want, the truth is, I'll tell you, number one, you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe that you're a top agent, and you should. You can't believe you're a top agent once it happens. You have to believe it before it happens. Remember, you can't build any great business without the belief that that business is possible first. So if you're a pessimist who's like, oh, well, I can't do that. Well, the reason why you're not as successful in your life is your mind. You have to fix it. Your computer controls everything. Okay. So number one, you have to believe it first. It doesn't come after you achieve it. Nobody's like, well, I became an Olympic gold medalist because I just happened to get there. You have to believe that one day you can be a gold medalist, and you have to believe that you are willing to work so freaking hard to do that and give it enough time. Everything is just time. The next thing that you guys have to really understand is you need to be patient. Some of you aren't patient, and I get it. Like you did 135 home sales, Jason, you're talking about patience. What you didn't see though is the 16 years of what I did before real estate that got me to the point where I could be successful, right? Remember, I had a lot of years of experience running businesses. I've had failures. I've had setbacks. I've had things that have happened to me. All you see is the highlight reel of that first year. So just remember that like, just like you, I have stories, I have setbacks, I have a lot of things that happen to me. I still go through them to this day. So like nobody is what you see on social media. So please like stop buying into that, right? That's the highlight reels. You don't see the struggle. Michelle, you know this. You've had your own struggles in your life. Everybody does. Like everybody has a story. You have a story. The question is like, is it going to define you, or are you going to use it as a motivator to come back stronger? And for anybody that like knows Michelle, she's become an incredible friend of mine. She's got an amazing story. She's an incredible human being. And like, I just think the world of her, but I promise you, like she hasn't had anything handed to her. She's had to earn the things that she has. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for people that can go through hardships and channel that and turn that into a positive. And that's called post-traumatic growth. Just so you know that. Post-traumatic growth, write that down. All right. I can go on these rants, guys, about this stuff.
Jason.
Yeah. What's up,
Okay,
Nick?
so I got a couple questions going towards the tactical scripts and things like that. So you got somebody who wants to take action. They have the leads. As we're all kind of like, at least not all of us, but we do teach expireds and FSBOs. When it comes to those online Google pay-per-click and Facebook leads, I'd like to go, if you can, go into what's your conversion method with it? What's your script for the first time the lead comes in? Are you like taking people who are 9 months out and pushing them now to buy? Are you following up with them? How are you nurturing them? Like, what are some tactical things that people would want to take action and start doing like right now?
Okay, so you guys have to look at internet leads the same way as you would online dating. Okay, you have to understand there's a low level of trust at the beginning, right? Everybody's like, is this person a serial killer? Am I safe? Like, so you have to understand that there's a low level of trust at the beginning with an internet lead. So it's really important that you ask good, engaging questions that can get them to open up. So Nick, hey, it's Jason Simard giving you a call from Sims Real Estate Group. Listen, I just saw that you signed up on our website. I want to be super quick, but I do want to be helpful, Nick, because my website's going to start sending you some properties. And I want to make sure that I'm only sending you relevant information. I'm curious, what is it that's not quite working for you with your current home that has you exploring homes online?
Well, listen, Jason, honestly, I just scrolled on Google, I clicked on your website, and I just signed up, but I'm not really looking for a house right now.
Hey, you know what, Nick? No worries. And I realize you're probably not doing anything right now, but listen, if you were to do something in the future, what would that look like for you, Nick?
Well, in the future, who knows when that'll be? We're probably gonna look to upsize.
Okay, awesome. Well, Nick, what's changed in your life right now that has you, at least putting that on the radar for the future?
Well, it's just, we're running out of space here. The house is getting a bit tighter every day.
Okay, let's pause the role play. Do you see 2 questions, 3 questions here? What I'm already uncovering, right? That's the power of quality open-ended questions. Now, I know there's coaches out there that are going to teach you like more manipulative type questions that are going to get like yes answers or whatever. What I'm trying to do with the prospects is I'm actually trying to get them to open up. And they're not going to trust you at the beginning, and that's okay. They're going to give you the same smoke screen. That's literally the same 10 smoke screens that you're going to get. So I train all my students to know how to overcome that and just move past it, because there's a lot of hidden needs with every single person that you talk to. You just got to get good at asking the right questions. Some people are going to be a little bit more open right from the beginning. Some people are going to be a little more closed. It is a numbers game. I know that if I talk to 10 online leads, I'm going to warm up 2 of them. So that was kind of my ratios. I know that I'm going to warm up 2 of them. So that means
One of the great things, Jason, if you don't mind me just interrupting and adding something, one of the great things that he said and that he did, guys, that I want you to notice is he made it okay that the person's not doing anything right now, right? And a lot of people will try to kind of go back into the call and make it something right now. And that's what scares people away. So Jason actually starting off that call with the language that he's using, he's making them feel okay with the fact that they're not ready to do something like right now. More importantly, Jason's letting them know that it's okay with Jason that he doesn't want to do anything right now either, right? And that's what, Jason, I think you're talking about, getting people to open up to you. Once they realize that all of the pressure is off, that you're not trying to talk them into doing something that they don't want to do right now, that's when people feel at ease and say, okay, I can take down some walls real quick, and it's okay for me to give Jason some information because he's not trying to get me to do anything that I don't want to do right now. And so I just wanted to point that out, guys, when you start the conversation, especially with internet leads, that's such a huge deal. And it would be the difference between somebody just hammering you with I'm not interested over and over, and somebody actually giving you their information, why they're actually looking. And that's all of the resource that you need to help people get what they want. Jason?
Chad, this is why Chad's the man. Write this down. I'm going to give you guys a line that you guys can use that will bail you out of any conversation you get stuck in. Okay. And I call this the taking the pressure off. And Chad just nailed it, but I'm going to give it to you word for word. It's something that I teach all my students and that you need to have this in your repertoire. Hey, listen, Nick, I realize you're probably not doing anything right now, but if you were to do something in the future, what does that look like for you? Easy. You can bail yourself of so many situations. You take the pressure off. It's like a pressure valve just comes off, like those pressure cookers. I just immediately
100%.
off, because here's what I know. They don't trust me enough yet. And I haven't earned it because I don't know anything about them. So what I need to do is just get into a conversation where I'm asking quality questions that get them to open up. Nick, you already saying, well, the place is a little bit snug. So can you expand on that a little bit for me, Nick? Like, what is it that's changed in your life that has you at least putting this on your radar for the future? And then this is where you're going to tell me, well, I've had another kid or I have a baby on the way. You're going to start opening up to me. And that's something that I'm going to work on. Now, one thing that you guys need to also understand, and this is a big mistake that almost all realtors make, is you guys pitch way too early. You pitch way too early. You uncover something. You're like, oh, well, I'd like to come by and give you a market evaluation. There's coaches that'll teach you to do that. I won't. I'm going to teach you to ask the right questions where you can uncover who's involved, what they're looking for, their motivations, right? Who, what, where, when, why, how, hobbies, occupation, build the trust. Then I always recap. So say I go down this journey of asking some really good questions and I'm getting deeper with you, Nick. I'm then going to recap with you what I've learned to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So Nick, what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's not really a question of if for you. It's more of a timing thing on you needing to upgrade, because your kids, you know, obviously you've got 3 kids, you've got 1 living room, 1 bathroom. It's a little snug for you, right? And it sounds like you want to be able to move to a property that's a little closer to the schools. Is there anything else that I've missed here, right? I'll always ask that question. Is there anything else that I've missed? And this is my opportunity, the opportunity for the prospect to let you know if you've missed anything. When people feel understood, when they feel heard, and they feel like you really get them, they feel connection. If you don't have connection with a prospect and you're finding like you're having a hard time getting appointments, it's because they feel like you're selling them. Stop selling. Just get curious. Ask great questions. Be curious. And then summarize. Always recap. I will never recommend anything to anybody until I fully understand exactly what it is they need first. Because that way, my recommendation is specifically tailored to help them achieve whatever the pain point is, whatever it is that they're looking to do. You know, Nick, and I'm going to just fast forward in this imaginary role play so you guys can fill in all the details that I obviously have missed because of time, but I'm going to fast forward to like what I would do. Nick asked the question, if somebody's like 9 months out, a year out, like what do you do with those prospects? This is exactly what I do. You want to hear it?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
So here's the thing, Nick. What I think you should do as a next step is we should move from behind the keyboard and actually go out and do what I call an educational tour. Let's get some context for the market so that you can get an understanding of what good value is. More importantly, so that I can understand exactly what it is that you're looking for. Because I'll tell you this, Nick, a year is actually not a long period of time. And my clients that get out there earlier are the ones that end up making the best long-term decisions. The best part is there's zero pressure because we're not buying anything. When's a good time that you guys can sneak away for a couple hours to look at a handful of properties? Start doing educational tours. Now, there's a process that I teach in my academies about exactly how I position this. And if you follow it to a T, guys, those people will be under contract in weeks in a lot of cases. Why? Because here's the reason why people tell you a year in the first place, because it seems daunting to go from point A to point B. Moving the whole, like it seems overwhelming. But if you as a professional have a really solid process that you can make it very easy step by step for them, why would they not move forward? It's like if I take the time to have a thorough consultation with you guys before the educational tour, right? I build value. I make sure that you guys know exactly your certainty around your budget, right? We talk about exactly what it is that you're looking for. You guys go and get your pre-approval and you have that in hand. When we walk through houses that you can see yourself living in, all of a sudden your mindset's going to be like, well, why would we wait a year when I can get it right now? The reason why most of you have people not taking action is because there's too many unanswered things. Like they don't know about their pre-approval. They don't know what to do with the house that they would need to sell. Like you haven't addressed their main roadblocks. So if you're constantly showing properties to people and they're not taking action, your process sucks. And you need to go and look and dissect it. Many of you are what I call glorified door openers. You literally are just viewed as a door opener. Nobody sees your value. They don't think that highly of you, and they will not trust your recommendations. They feel like they tell you what to do. That is not what a professional advisor does. A professional advisor has processes, has system, and they guide people to decisions.
And your professionalism will determine how they treat you, right? So if you're tired of being run ragged by your buyers or even by your sellers, it's because they don't respect or trust your process. You know what I mean? And therefore they're having to tell you what to do. And that's really a signification of, I don't trust you. You know what I mean? I don't trust your professionalism. And so what you guys are hearing too from Jason is like, you know, on the buyer side, a lot of buyers agents will just, when they hear that, Matt, like Jason, sorry, when they hear that, I'm 9 months out or I'm not doing anything for another year, their automatic instinct is to do what? I'll send you some listings. And if you see anything that you like, why? Because that's a waste of my time, right? And for you, number one, like obviously, Jason, you want them to do something right now, but you don't really give a shit whether they do something now or 9 months from now. You're going to go out there and guess what? That's going to be your client, right? Regardless, even if it is a condition that they've got to wait 9 months, due to your presentation and your professionalism and your steps in the process, that will be a client of yours. Because your average agent, Jason, I think will give you pushback that, number one, this usually comes from a lot of agents who aren't doing enough deals to justify it. But what they say is, well, I don't want to waste my time, right? I don't want to go out there and waste my time because they're not looking yet. They're not very serious yet. And so what would you say to that feedback, right? What would your feedback be to that, Jason?
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. Every single person that you get face to face with, that you put through your process, is it a person that you now build a connection with, that you build trust with? And guess what? They know other people. And if you actually use the things that I've learned through doing it, you can generate business from people that haven't even transacted with you. In fact, a lot of my referrals come from people that haven't transacted with me yet, but they're so impressed by how different I am and like the level of service and detail that I go through that they go out of their way. I do something called strategic. Guys, I'm going to give you some game that people pay a lot of money for. I'm going to give you something right now.
Let's go, guys. Do you want some game from Jason?
I
Can you
want
just
some
raise
game
your
from
voice?
Jason. Let's go.
Do you
Yes.
love some game from Jason right now?
Go.
Okay, here we go. So first things first, strategic gifting. There is science behind reciprocity. If somebody does something really thoughtful and kind for you, it immediately elicits this like reciprocity feeling where they want to actually pay it forward to you and do something. So every buyer that you work with, every seller that you work with, when you're done that first educational tour, or when you've got that listing commitment signed, get a gift to them with a nice gratitude card within 24 hours. Do it right at the end of that educational tour and have something that they were not expecting, with a very genuine, heartfelt, like gratitude card that just lets them know how much you appreciate the opportunity to help them. And don't ask for anything. Do not ask for anything. Just do that. Then as part of your process. So like, for example, on the listing side, Nick, let's say I sign a listing with you today. Tomorrow, you're going to have a really nice, thoughtful gift. And it could be anywhere from $50 to $150. I'm going to have something thoughtful with a nice gratitude card. Okay. We haven't even done business yet. We literally just signed the listing. You're not expecting this. It's going to happen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a launch call the day before we go live. So usually for me, it's a week from getting the listing signed to when we get like marketing and get it on the market. It's about a week. Well, the day before we go live, I'm going to be having something called the referral receptor conversation with you. This is really important. This works really well, but you have to follow it exactly how it's laid out. Do the strategic gift, which sets reciprocity immediately, stands you out. Then follow up. What I'm going to do on that temperature call, Nick, I'm literally going to demonstrate it for you. So I'm going to say, hey, Nick, we've got all the photos done, the video marketing. I just wanted to check in. Like, how are you feeling about everything? Role play with me.
Everything looks good. I mean, the photos look great. Everything looks really good. We're excited to get this property sold.
Amazing, Nick. The other thing that I want to check in with you, we talked about not having any same day showings, right? We talked about giving you 24 hours notice so you have time to be prepared. We talked about not having showings past 5:30 because you have your kids and dinner time and bedtime. Is there anything else that I should think of when I set this showing schedule in motion?
No, I feel like you have everything that you really need to know. I think we've gone over everything.
Okay, amazing. The next thing, Nick, now that you're hitting the market with your house, you're going to be having a lot of real estate conversations with your friends, your family members, your colleagues. They're all going to come out of the woodwork and they're all going to tell you exactly what they're up to. And I want you to know that my objective, Nick, is to make sure that they're always well looked after the same way that I'm looking after you. And that worst case scenario that I provide a valid second opinion to any of your friends and family members. The easiest way to make that introduction, Nick, is a simple text or an email introduction. I want you to know one thing. I will never pester them. I will always make you look really good. And I will always make sure, worst case scenario, they get a really valid second opinion. Now, as I'm saying this, Nick, is there anybody that comes to mind that you feel I could help?
Off the top of my head, not really right now, but possibly. I think maybe my neighbor might have mentioned it once. I could definitely ask them again.
Amazing. Well, listen, I would love an introduction to the neighbor. Again, even a simple text or an email introduction would be great. I'll never pester them. I'll always make sure you look good. But when these conversations happen, just remember that we talked about this. And just know that I want to make sure that they're really well cared for, because there's a lot of people in your circle that may end up making some long-term strategic mistakes because they get the wrong advice. And I want to make sure that doesn't happen.
Man, thank you. That was
Can we give it up for
Scaredy cats.
Can we give it
It's
up for
scaredy cats, real quick. Like a real quick show of hands. Like, how many of you guys are afraid to have a conversation like this with somebody whose house you haven't sold yet? Raise your hand. Be honest. Don't lie. You ain't got to lie, Craig, as they would say in the movie Friday.
Yeah,
Like, these are things that you have to get used to doing, because these are really smart things that we overlook. And so some of you guys might hear this and dismiss it immediately, right? And for those of you guys who are really looking to level up your business, this is the shit that turns one deal into 3 right away. You know what I mean? And these are all the things that you're not really willing to do. Why? Because you don't think that they're quite ready yet, because you're all up in your own head and you're just scared. You know what I mean? And, or maybe it's, you don't know what to say, but either way, the cool thing is this call is recorded for you guys. So you could go back and listen to this. You can go back and script it out, but I want to challenge all of you guys here today with the clients that you have now. I want you to actually go out and have this conversation, challenge yourself, and see the results that you get back. Now, Jason, if you don't mind me being completely transparent here, like I think the things that you're talking about, even like the gift cards with your buyers, for me, I've always been really good at the Pac-Man sales, right? Which is I'm going to go out there and get deals. And for the longest time, like I overlooked and I dismissed a lot of the things that you're talking about right now because I wasn't like a fluff guy. You know what I mean? But it really is the difference between doing a deal or gaining a client. You know what I mean? And we're not just in it to just do deals, guys. We're in it to gain clients who are actually going to be sending us business, who actually don't mind to go out there and advocate on our behalf. And the little things like this, guys, if you decide to implement, will have such a massive impact on your business. It's insane. So I hope all of you guys are taking notes on this stuff. Michelle?
So good. So good. So good. So
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure.
So Chad, your personality profile, you're a high D, you're a driver, right? That's your role. That's what you do. So the thing with high Ds is they think everybody else is just like them, but they're not, right? There's people that are feelers that like really like need to feel connection with somebody before they can trust them. I'm that type of person. I have high D energy in me. High I, clearly, you guys can probably see that, but also a lot of S too, which is like, I care about people. The more you love up on people and show them that you genuinely care about their best interest, the more they will trust you and the more business they will do. I will never recommend something to anybody that isn't in their best interest. And at no point did my clients ever come back and feel like I was just acting in my interest, because I always made it about them. When they'd ask me, what do you think, Jason? Well, you know what, guys, based on what I know about you and what you're looking for, this is why this makes sense, or this is why it doesn't. I'll give you guys another little tip. I want everybody to grab your phones right now. Do this. And this isn't something you're going to learn from Cooley, because he's the driver. You're going to learn other things, but you're going to learn something from me, that this is something I've been doing for 8 years. I want you guys to send right now 2 gratitude texts to people, or 2 gratitude videos to people that the first 2 people that come to mind, and let them know how you feel about them. Say something thoughtful. I do this every single day, guys. This is just something that I make part of my routine. I just make sure to let people know that I care about, what I think about them. Try it with some past clients. Try it with some people that you've worked with recently, and let them know what you truly think. Like, you know what, Jamie, I really appreciate working with you. Like, you were actually so fun. I always appreciated like how well prepared you were. You were always on time. I wish I had more clients like you. I just want you to know I was thinking about you, and I hope you have the most amazing day. Jamie Watson, if I sent that to you, would you be upset?
Absolutely not.
Does that build connection? Does that build more trust?
Yes.
It's
definitely.
genuine. Like, this isn't fake. Like, I'm saying what I truly feel, but like sometimes letting people know how you feel about them goes a long way. I challenge everybody to send that to 2 people. Make that part of your routine. This is small stuff, but it compounds. And I'll tell you this, people remember it. I might catch Jamie at a day where she's feeling down in the dumps. Maybe she's having a moment, and like just that puts a smile on her face. She will remember that. People remember how you make them feel. Start making people feel really, really good. And the way to do that.
Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and like, guys, remember the last time you got a genuine compliment, how that actually makes you feel, right? And in a world where people don't get that very often, it really does stand out. You know, I had a message from one of our agents the other day just asking me how I was doing, and I'm like, what do you need? And they're like, no, I was just seeing how you were doing. And I'm like, ooh, wow, that kind of hit me a little bit different, because not a lot of people actually do that. You know what I mean? And so like with the world that we live in, you taking the extra time to do things like that, I think will give a genuine feeling that you give a shit about the people that you're working with, right? On a personal level. And boy, does that make you stand out from just all of the people who are just like, hey, do you have any real estate needs? Right? It hits different. You know, you guys all know Amber McDonald, and one of the real good things that she does with her clients is she makes them feel like family. She does a lot of this stuff that Jason's talking about. And there's a reason why she does 100 deals a year, right? It's because her clients send her business because they feel like they're a part of her business. They feel like she's actually looking out for their best interest, and they're not a transaction, right? That's how you have to stop looking at your clients, Jason, is what you're saying, is stop looking at them as transactions and start looking at them as people, right?
I know I'm running out of time, but I want to say this. I want every one of you to really think about all the people that you know in your life. So your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, your past clients. I want you to think of yourself as their real estate financial advisor. So you manage hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate assets, and your job is to make sure that you're loving up on your people, that you're keeping them informed on what's happening in real estate, what's happening with their asset, and actually being aware of the life events that they have going on. You guys realize that 3 things continue to happen. People unfortunately die, divorces happen, people get married, people have children. There's 4 key things, right? Those are all life events that are happening with people right now that you know, and you're just not being curious enough. You're not connecting enough with them to know it because you're so tunnel visioned on this goal that you have, which is selling houses. Guys, I didn't even think about the outcome, to be honest with you, when I was doing all that business. I thought about what I had control over, right? I'm going to send 20 gratitude messages. I'm going to have 20 real estate conversations. I'm going to do 20 bomb videos. Like, those were all things that I knew I can control. I've been practicing my skills for over 10 years now in real estate. I still practice them to this day, and I'm 5.5 years out of production, right? I continue to run a successful real estate team, but I'm not selling houses myself, but I'm practicing every day. I could go back into production tomorrow and dominate because I keep my skills fresh, but it's these little things that compound. Those are the things you have control. Forget outcome, because the outcome comes from showing up and doing the things. I shared a photo, Michelle. I don't know if you want to post it. I don't care. It's embarrassing for me, but like, I showed a photo to Michelle of what I looked like 4 years ago when I gained all that weight and where I'm at today. But like, in 4 years, I've been able to completely transform myself physically, how I look and feel, by just doing that, showing up, doing the disciplined, consistent work, and making that a standard. You guys can do the same thing in your business by making the consistent, disciplined things that you do a standard and not negotiating with yourself, right? Stop negotiating with that inner terrorist inside of you that is telling you you're not worthy. You have to reprogram your thoughts and believe that you are worthy, and then put the actions behind it, and then just give it time. Right? It's a 3.5-year journey it took from what I used to look like, which I literally looked like I was non-binary, to what I look like today. And it's crazy, the transformation, but Michelle, you can share with people. I don't care. It's embarrassing for me, but it's the same process that I did with real estate. Every one of you can be successful. The challenge is you got to change your programming and your thoughts first, and then line up your actions, and then give it time.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, hey, Michelle, do you have anything else?
I have 2 things I want to end with, and I know just for time's sake, I want to be able to maybe have time for like a couple of questions, and then I want to be able to share 2 things to wrap for us, guys.
By the way, Jason, I saw that picture and you looked super cuddly before. Like, I know you look handsome now, but you did look cuddly before. I just wanted to say that, Michelle.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are getting so much value out of this. First of all, I mean, we blink, Jason, you know how it goes. We blink and now an hour's gone by. But this was incredibly valuable. So one, thank you. Guys, we don't have very much time, but before I wrap with a couple of things, any couple of questions from the group that we only have time for maybe 2.
Nick Trani has a question.
Nick Tarani, you went already. Have somebody else jump in.
Howdy.
It's always Nick Tarani. For you guys on the Breakfast Club, always Nick Tarani. Who else has a question for Jason?
Jason, I have a question.
Please.
All right, Cody.
All right. So when you talk about bringing luxury marketing to all your listing, what do you mean by that, and what does that entail actually?
Oh, good question. So what I want you to do, Cody, is I want you to look at like, what is the best marketing that's being done on the average everyday home in my market, and then raise that standard to the next level. So for me, there was a lot of people that would do video, right? So they would do a video of the home and it'd have music playing, and that was common, but I didn't see anybody actually in the home putting their personality into it, really describing it. Kind of like, I don't know if you guys used to watch the show MTV Cribs, but like, I kind of brought that concept where I'd really get in there and really showcase the home, my personality, because I understood that like every listing was an opportunity for me to market the home, but also myself. I didn't cut corners. Like I spend money on a cleaner every listing. I make sure that I have somebody come in and help with decluttering and some staging. Like I do little things to make my value stand out from anybody else that they deal with. because I want to make sure that I always have nice, clean homes that you guys as buyers agents are coming through, because I know that'll get my clients better results. I want my clients to have a really good experience, to say, Jason had a plan for everything. He made things seamless. And I want them to be proud and brag about the marketing to their friends. You don't want your client to be like, oh yeah, the marketing's okay. Like that means that you're subpar or average. That's not okay. You shouldn't have that. I don't care if you do 12 deals a year. Those 12 deals, you should treat them like every single client is gold and really strive to bring the highest standards. I don't know if that makes sense, Cody.
It's the reason why you'll do 24 the next, right?
Yeah.
Or 36 the next. And it's a tough choice because, you know, if you're like a listing or a transaction here and there, you look at like, oh man, well, do I really want to spend all this money to do outside of the box things that are non-traditional? And that poverty mentality is one of the reasons why you'll keep doing the onesie twosie transactions rather than getting the referrals that you want. So it's really an investment on your future, Jason, is what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think you guys have heard Jason say it multiple times, right? He's studied the market, the competitors, what are the good agents doing, and then establishing his standard of how he's going to set himself apart and give an even higher experience and service and standard to the consumer. He's actually
I like what you said, Michelle, that I think for most people, right? Well, most people will give you the advice of, hey, go out there and copy some of the things that everybody else is doing, right? Which is not bad advice. If it's working, it looks good, absolutely do it. But you also have to think, Jason, and I think what I don't think about and what I kind of learned today too, which is a nugget for me, is like, how can you enhance what they're doing, right? How can you copy what they're doing and work to enhance it and bring it to the next level to create your own thing or make it better, you know? And I think that's some valuable feedback. I love that.
one more, anyone who you got a shout out, another question from anyone else, and then I know we got to get
Jennifer Aniston, what's up, girl?
Hi. Thank you all
Where?
so much for everything.
Where?
Hey,
Did you say Jennifer Aniston? Where?
That's her nickname.
Oh,
top left corner.
okay.
That's her
I see her
nickname.
now.
hi. Okay, so lead gen and how you're talking about like Google Leads, Facebook, what is a practical way to learn more about that? And what would your ad spend be on a lead? How long would you have it run for? Can you give a little insight on
Yeah.
ways to go about doing that? I haven't done that very much, but definitely looking into that more.
Okay, for sure. And you can message me offline if you have some questions. I'll try and make time
Thank
for.
you.
So one of the things that I would highly recommend, guys, is you have to get a good lead. If you want to do the internet lead generation game, you got to really commit to it, and it is going to cost you money. So I'm going to be transparent with you. It's not a free lead source. I teach a lot of free lead sources that you can generate business from. But if you want to do the online lead stuff, it's going to depend on the market. So every market's a little different on the cost per lead, but you need a good lead capture website. There's about 5 companies that I would say do a really, really good job, and that's about it. Obviously, Real Geeks is who I use. Huge fan of Real Geeks. Chime is a really good one. There's KV Core, which is pretty good. Who is the other ones? There's Sierra Interactive, Boomtown. There's maybe 7, sorry. Sync is another good one. So you need a good lead capture website. First off, if you don't have a good lead capture website, guys, you can spend a whole bunch of money driving traffic to it, and it'll just cost you a whole bunch of money. So you have to have a good real estate proven lead generation website. I use Real Geeks. I've been with them for 8.5 years. They've been my technology partner. They're not necessarily the best of all those, but they are phenomenal. I've been happy with them. Pound for pound, they're an amazing system. The next thing is, go ahead.
No, you were going. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No, the next thing is you need to invest in a campaign manager that can drive targeted Google ads. Again, find somebody that has a track record in real estate Google AdWord lead generation, because they'll understand it, right? So there's like a handful of people that I trust that I know do a good job. So that's going to cost you about $500. Your website's going to be anywhere from say $300 to $1,000 a month on the website. And then you need to set a daily ads budget with Google. Minimum I would suggest is $25 to $30 a day if you want to do it properly. Average cost per lead can vary. I've seen it anywhere from $5 a lead to $25 a lead. It depends on the market. But if I was like somebody starting out today, I would say I would put like a $25,000 to $30,000 budget minimum to do this for the year. That's spread over the course of a year. And then get some coaching and some mentorship if you don't know how to have the conversations and the follow-up. Like, instead of beating your head against the wall, go and learn from the people that have done what you're looking to do, right? Like, you guys want to learn how to call FSBOs and expireds like a pro? Chad Cooley is your man. You guys are all learning from him on a regular basis. A lot of you are having phenomenal results. If you want to learn how to do online lead generation, work your sphere, talk to people like myself, for example, who've done it. We'll give you the road, like we'll tell you exactly how we do it and how to do it. And then you got to practice. One thing you guys should all commit to is practicing your skills on a regular basis. Like if you don't practice, you're not going to really evolve. You can't just take something and hear it and then go implement it. You actually have to develop the muscle memory. So
not one high level producer, guys, that you've ever heard has never not preached the importance of practice, right? And that's the one thing that all of you guys overlook is practicing every single day. And raise your voice if you actually practice every single day, first and foremost, because none of this works. None of it will unless you're actually practicing every day. You might be the type of person that goes, well, I know what to say already. I just got to get in front of people. Most popular comment in real estate. And those are usually said by people who aren't producing at the level that they want to, right? So you got to get a little bit uncomfortable to get better. The last question, if I can take it, if you don't mind, Jason, core property boost, KV core property boost is something that all of these people have access to. I encourage these guys to do it with every listing that they take active, obviously. Do you recommend that too? And is there anything, are you having success with it? And is there any feedback that you can give these guys in order to make that better or more fruitful? Because you get like two sides of people, right? Some people are like, I'm doing well with it. Like I'm getting some good leads. And then you have those Glenn Ross people that we're talking about that go, those leads suck. I haven't gotten anything yet.
Okay. I love all lead sources because they're human beings. They're people that were looking for a reason, right? And I'm really good at uncovering the hidden opportunities and in a very conversational manner that's very easy and pleasant. I'm able to get the information that I need to move them along in my process. I'm very skilled at that. I can teach people to do it. But if you are the type of person that's like, I hate calling, I don't like talking to people, then that's not a place to invest. Chad, for those that are willing to make the follow-ups, be persistent and understand that you're not going to close every single person on a call. Like it could be 8 to 12 touches that you do before you move these people along in your process. Just you have to understand it takes time, but you can get such an abundance of opportunities and build a pipeline, and the systems are so amazing. And with AI technology nowadays, like they'll literally be helping you with following up with a lot of your prospects, guys. It'd be crazy not to have a system like that. To me, that would be suicidal. I could have never done 135 home sales in my first year without having a ton of lead gen. Like 99% of the people that I dealt with were people that I'd never met before. They were complete strangers to me. But guess what? You've put them through your process over time. They become just like anybody else. They become a client, friend, an acquaintance, somebody that you now are on a first name basis. They're just a little less trusting in the beginning. Is that fair? Like I met my wife
I love it.
online,
Said that better.
online dating. Has anybody met a partner or met anybody online? That used to be weird 20 years ago. It's not so weird now, but like most of us know what that's like. We've met people online. Well, guess what? Like she's like an incredible one of my best friends, and we have like really good chemistry, right? Like good conversations. So, but when I met her, she was a complete stranger and was like worried that I'd be a psychopath. And she had her friend like literally drive to the Starbucks that we had our first date at because she hadn't heard from her in 2 hours because we were having such good conversation. But now we're on a different basis. It's going to be the same with internet leads. You just have to understand it's a process to build the trust.
John Martinez, you get good at internet leads. You get good at online dating. There is hope. You can leverage online dating, man. John Martinez, it's all about you, man.
Two things, guys. I just put Jason's Instagram handle in the chat. Everyone follow Jason. He's putting out content literally every single day. Super, super valuable. So I want all of you guys to follow him. And then one last thing real quick, let me share screens and I'll drop this off. So Jason and I are both going to be speaking at this event in July in Vancouver, Canada. So for my Washington people, that's like a 2-hour drive for you. How cool is that? Here, I'll drop the actual link in the chat. Can you guys see the image that I just threw up there?
Yes.
So
and you're not in it. We need to talk to him about that.
I'm a late speaker coming in, so they actually just sent me the speaker intake form. But this is going to be super powerful. Jason's going to be speaking. I'll be speaking. Tons of powerhouses. You guys know Phil. I don't even know who else is on here. John Size hosting the whole thing. We've got our founder. Going to be an incredible, incredible event. Would love to see you guys there. So again, this is early July. Just drop the link. Tell me that's going to come down. Come up. You're up for all of us. Over for it.
And I'm gonna likely be throwing a yacht party at this event.
So not likely he will be.
There'll be 40 spots available. I guarantee you it'll be the best party that you've been to. I did it last year and everybody still talks about it. It was so fun. Michelle didn't come. She should have been there, but she wasn't. But it's so much fun. It's so beautiful there. So I highly recommend it, not just for the amazing knowledge that you're going to get, but like come have a little vacation and some fun too. Work hard, play hard. That's kind of my motto.
Yes.
Guys, I want you to unmute your microphones real quick. All of you guys unmute your microphones and give it up for Jason for dropping some knowledge on us today.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you,
Because it was
Jason.
Canadian, but not
Thank
only did he
you.
help us out, but he
Is it
also
free
strengthened the
game?
ties between America and Canada. Jason, we appreciate you jumping on today. Thanks for dropping the knowledge, and we hope you come back again. Love it. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Jason.
Bye, guys.
We'll talk later.